Welcome to Peace, Freedom, and Joy for Changemakers. I am your host, Michelle Vande, and today's 10-minute message. That's right, I said 10-minute message. I realized as I was editing each podcast that more and more of them were becoming 10 minutes or longer than 10 minutes. And then I was trying to get them under 10 minutes so they'd be close to 5 minutes and realized I just couldn't move forward with integrity and be honest. And in my eyes, I wanted to not be deceiving that you think these messages are 5 minutes, but they're really closer to 10 minutes. And so I decided to just change it to a 10-minute message. And hopefully they're still short and sweet for each and every one of you. So today's 10-minute message is mindfulness is a learnable leadership skill, part two. Last week we talked about mindfulness, and I'm going to refer back to some of the things we talked about last week and start with the definition from the APA, the American Psychological Association. Mindfulness is the awareness of one's internal states and surroundings. It can help people avoid destructive or automatic habits and responses by learning to observe their thoughts, emotions, and other present moment experiences without judgment or reacting to them. And that is a big piece of it, is noticing them without judgment. That piece is so valuable and so important. And last week we talked about a tool using your senses and doing extraceptive noticing. So noticing the external to help bring you to the present moment. This week we're going to talk about interoceptive and the internal felt sense that you are feeling. And the extraceptive place is a great place to start. And it's valuable and valid. I think it falls short when you're really wanting to work on being mindful without your environment dictating your feelings and without it dictating your emotions. And so when you can do more of the interoceptive work and figure out what it feels like inside, the awareness of one's internal states, then that's where the external states don't have to determine your internal states. And that can be so powerful because last week we talked about the book, My Grandmother's Hands. If you have not listened to it or read that book, I strongly encourage you put it on your list. That is something every person, especially if you are someone that works with other people, whether in crisis or trauma, or you're just working with other people, it's so important to listen to this book. If you are in activism work, it is so important to listen or read to this book. If you are a person, it is important for you to listen to or read that book. I will leave it at that. One of the things he talks about in that book, though, is that something that's happening when he was studying some of these incidences with police brutality and death by police officer, what was happening is the police officers were reacting to these situations from the reptilian brain. And so they were being triggered into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And they were going into fight most often because they thought that their lives were at stake. And when you think your life is at stake, you're going to do everything you can to save your own life. What they were doing is physically hurting people or shooting people when they shouldn't have been. He talks about when you can get out of your reptilian brain and move into this awareness of your felt sense, then you can slow yourself down, become more present with your internal states, and realize that maybe your life isn't at stake right now. This can be so important. And that's where trauma sensitive yoga and doing things that help you to recognize your internal states can be so powerful, and doing it from a place of judgment. Trauma sensitive yoga offers the opportunity for interoception to feel your internal felt sense and to do it from a place of non-judgment. So if you're not feeling anything in your body, there's no judgment. It's an opportunity to feel. And if you're not feeling, that's okay too, but you're offering yourself the opportunity. And doing it on a regular basis over and over again is creating new habits. That's part of this being a learnable skill. Doing it over and over again helps it to become your habit and helps it to become your default, as opposed to being triggered into fight or flight. It's helping you to have more mindfulness of and awareness of your body that helps you to stay calm, have this peace of mind that allows you to respond as opposed to react, that allows you to maybe even be proactive instead of reactive. And that's why this is a learnable skill. It takes time because you learn these habits or something happened to you that triggers you in this way. So we have to shift that. And the way we shift that is by practicing interoception and being aware of what our body is feeling. You can do this also by reflecting every day or even taking a moment when you're angry, maybe after you're angry and you calm yourself down. What did it feel like in my body when I was angry? What did it feel like in my body when I was sad? What did it feel like in my body when I was triggered maybe? That was something after my son died, I so often PTSD was a big challenge for me with police officers, ambulances, even just talking about it now, I can viscerally feel what it felt like in my body when those moments would arise. So taking time to ask yourself, what am I noticing in my body in these different emotional states? And it can also be, what does my body feel like when I'm in joy? What does my body feel like when I'm in peace? Noticing those things can help you to make those shifts into mindfulness or your authentic self. I oftentimes use this context of authentic self versus conditioned self. And the definition of mindfulness is perfect for that because some of the cornerstones of being in your authentic self are being non judgmental. You're coming from a place of faith, love, and trust. And conditioned self is being judgmental, worry, fear, anxiety, among other things. And oftentimes, when you're in your conditioned self, there's tightness and constriction in your body, and maybe your breathing is shallow. Authentic self can have a more openness in your body and a steadier breath, and it's not so constrictive. You can see how it can be so valuable to stay in your authentic self, or at least recognize yourself in your conditioned self so that you can make these shifts into your authentic self. And one of the ways you do that is through mindfulness practices. This is why it's also so important to do this as a leader, whether you're leading yourself, your mission, your team, the folks that you're serving, whatever that looks like for you. This piece of being non judgmental is so important because if you can be non judgmental to yourself, then you can model that and you can create this culture of everyone also being non judgmental of themselves. Then that spills over into not being judgmental of other people. Because whatever we are oftentimes judging other people for is what we also are judging ourselves for. So if you can recognize what you're judging other people for, ask yourself, what am I judging within myself that is being reflected in me judging someone else? That's a great awareness and a great way to recognize when this is happening. And this becomes something that you talk about with your team, talk about within your organization, and work on being less judgmental. This is can be so powerful and impactful because then more people are going to feel loved. They're going to feel seen. They're going to feel heard. They're going to feel like they belong. Think about when you're at some sort of event or gathering. And if you feel like you're being judged, do you feel like you belong? Do you feel like you're loved? No, you don't. You feel like you're on the outside. You feel like you're being othered. And so when you feel like people are not judging you, when people are accepting of who you are, that's when you feel loved. That's when you feel like you belong. And so as the leader, you want people to feel loved and like they belong, not only for employees and staff, for staff retention, but also so people get better results working with you. So people want to come and use your services because they feel safer with you. That's where this can be so powerful and so impactful as a leadership and learnable skill. If you're not already a part of Peace, Freedom, and Joy for Changemakers, you're welcome to join the Facebook group. You can find that in the show notes. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're welcome to subscribe so you get notified when a new episode comes out every single week. They usually come out on Mondays. So subscribe, like this video, share it with someone who you think could benefit from. And then if you want to reach out to me and have a conversation about this topic, you're welcome to reach out on any social media platform that we may be connected. And my mission for you is that you are prioritizing yourself, empowering your mission, that you know that yes, your mission is worth it and you are worth it. We'll see you next time.